Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. Dynamite tonight was from the FLA Live Arena in Sunrise, Florida, and the show just ended. And Dynamite tonight, I thought the show wasn't that good in my opinion. I thought it was a very mid-show. Tonight on Dynamite, we had the AEW International Championship on the line, where Orange Cassidy defended the title against Bandido. We had Jeff Jarrett in action tonight. He ended up taking on Dax Harwood. We had Wardlow in a squash match tonight. We had Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin. We also saw the TBS Championship on the line, where Jade Cargill defended the title against Taya Valkyrie. And the main event, we had Kenny Omega and Konosuke Takeshita. They end up taking on the Butcher and the Blade. And we also had one guy make his AEW debut tonight, which I will get into. And also, Tony Khan had a huge announcement also, which I will get into. But Dynamite tonight, just a very mid-show it was. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. Dynamite opened up tonight with the AEW International Championship on the line. Orange Cassidy defended the title against Bandido. And this was a pretty good match here. I feel like every single week we're seeing Orange Cassidy come out there and defend the International Championship. It's like he starts off Dynamite every single week. It's like Groundhog Day. Oh, here comes Orange Cassidy again, defending the International Championship. To which the International Championship, in my opinion, is more prestige than the TNT Championship. The TNT Championship, I don't care about anything surrounding around that title. It is just absolutely awfully booked, with it changing hands, hot potato in around. But International Championship is more prestige. But the match started off with Orange Cassidy using his, typical antics on Bandido. So Bandido ended up going at it with Orange Cassidy, and we had both guys end up trading holds and some strikes. So Bandido started taunting Orange Cassidy, and we had Bandido end up escaping out of the ring as Orange Cassidy started to build up momentum to Bandido. So we had Orange Cassidy end up putting his hands in his pockets, and we had Orange Cassidy end up hitting a head scissors takedown to Bandido, which Cassidy ended up sending Bandido to the outside. Orange Cassidy ended up going for a dive, but he got caught by Bandido. Bandido ended up sending Cassidy crashing into the barricade. So Bandido got some more offense on Orange Cassidy after sending him into the barricade. So Bandido brought Cassidy back into the ring. Bandido ended up going for the cover, and Cassidy ended up kicking out. So Bandido started continuing to work on Orange Cassidy, and he locked in a modified stretch muffler on Orange Cassidy. So we had Orange Cassidy end up getting to the ropes to break the stretch muffler. So Bandido sent Orange Cassidy to the outside, and Bandido ended up hitting a big dive to Cassidy. And then Dynamite went to commercial, with the picture-in-picture. So then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, we had Orange Cassidy reversing out of a suplex attempt by Bandido, but Bandido ended up bringing Cassidy down. So both guys were down. They got to their feet. Bandido ended up hitting a chop to Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy came back and delivered a chop of his own to Bandido. So we had both guys end up chopping each other back and forth. Bandido then ended up hitting a super kick to Orange Cassidy, which he followed up with a pump kick to Cassidy. So Orange Cassidy turned things around, and he ended up slamming Bandido's head against the turnbuckle. So Cassidy ended up going up to the top. Bandido fought Cassidy off, and Cassidy ended up hitting a Michinoku driver to Bandido, and Cassidy ended up going for the cover. Bandido kicked out. So Bandido ended up heading back to the outside, and Orange Cassidy delivered a dive to Bandido, but Bandido ended up delivering a kick to Cassidy's head, which sent Orange Cassidy reeling on the apron. Bandido then brought Orange Cassidy into the corner, and Bandido ended up hitting a superplex to Orange Cassidy, and Bandido followed up with a pop-up cutter off the ropes, and Bandido ended up going for the cover, and Orange Cassidy ended up kicking out. Bandido was looking to go for a X marks the spot, but Orange Cassidy ended up cutting Bandido off, and Cassidy ended up leaping off the top rope, and he delivered a Gorilla Press Slam to Bandido. So Bandido ended up going up top. He ended up hitting the Frog Splash to Orange Cassidy. Bandido ended up going for the cover. Cassidy ended up kicking out. Bandido then blocked an Orange Punch from Orange Cassidy, and we had Orange Cassidy ended up doing a mousetrap attempt, which got countered by Bandido. Orange Cassidy dodged another attack by Bandido, and that led to Cassidy getting in the Orange Punch to Bandido, and then he ended up going for the beach break. So Orange Cassidy ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Orange Cassidy ended up winning the match, retaining the AEW International Championship. Overall, this was a pretty good match. Fun opening match to open Dynamite tonight. You know, good back and forth wrestling from Orange Cassidy and Bandido. Really liked Bandido's mask and, with all black. Those are pretty cool. Post-match, Orange Cassidy ended up handing the International Championship to the ref, and he ended up calling Bandido up to his feet. So Orange Cassidy ended up presenting Bandido with a pair of shades in respect. So pretty much that was basically that. Orange Cassidy, showing his respect to Bandido. But they put on one hell of a fun match. And then we saw Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette was backstage with Adam Cole. Adam Cole ended up saying that he promises to call Chris Jericho. He ended up saying that he will come find Jericho if need to be. So Adam Cole ended up walking off. Orange Cassidy and Bandido ended up coming by Renee. And Renee was going to interview both of them. So Renee ended up telling Bandido and Orange Cassidy that she was only there to catch up with Adam Cole. And so Cassidy and Bandido both end up replying, "Oh." And then they end up walking off, which that was basically that. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Renee Paquette was now with Darby Allin and Jungle Boy. Darby Allin ended up saying that him and Jungle Boy both went too far. and that he wants to kill that between them. Darby Allin ended up saying that if he knew what would happen last week, he'd have been at ringside and not in the Raptors. He ended up saying that if Jungle Boy cares about the pillar stuff, he will have his back tonight. Jungle Boy ended up telling Darby Allin that he wishes it would have been the both of them going at it tonight, to which Darby Allin ended up agreeing. So pretty much that was basically that. But it would have been cool to see Darby Allin and Jungle Boy, go at it. If it was, planned for tonight. But we had, Darby Allin taking on Sammy Guevara. And then we had Jeff Jarrett versus Dax Harwood, which this was boring, in my opinion. 2023, and Jeff Jarrett is still getting TV time. Why? Why is Jeff Jarrett still being pushed? He's been on TV more than Miro. And that's a crime. How is Miro, who has not been on TV in so long, God knows how long, and Jeff Jarrett is getting all this fucking TV time? So Jeff Jarrett, he made his way out along with Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh. Dax Harwood came out by himself, no Cash Wheeler. So the match started off with both guys ended up locking up, and Jeff Jarrett ended up taking down Dax Harwood. He ended up catching Dax Harwood's arm. He was wrenching at Harwood's arm until Dax ended up reversing it. So both guys continued to trade holds. Jeff Jarrett started taunting Dax Harwood, and he ended up hitting a shoulder tackle to Harwood. Harwood ended up dodging an attack by Jeff Jarrett, and he ended up sliding through Jeff Jarrett's legs, and Jeff Jarrett ended up catching Harwood with a hip toss, and then he started mocking Harwood, and then Jeff Jarrett started doing his strut, and of course he did the this. He's thinking like he's Chad Gable with the. So Dax Harwood responded to Jeff Jarrett's strut with a big chop to him. He ended up sending Jeff Jarrett into the corner. Harwood started laying in some more offense on Jeff Jarrett. So we had Jeff Jarrett end up catching Harwood with a boot to Harwood's face, to which Jarrett followed it up with an uppercut. So Jarrett ended up sending Harwood into the corner. He ended up laying in a boot to Harwood's midsection. Harwood ended up getting back up. He ended up taking Jeff Jarrett down, and Harwood ended up going for the cover. Jarrett ended up kicking out. So Harwood ended up bringing Double J up to the top turnbuckle. He ended up hitting a couple of chops to Jarrett. Jarrett then ended up sending Harwood down to the canvas, and Dynamite went to commercial. And of course, during the picture-in-picture, we had once again Jeff Jarrett was shown doing his strut, and then him being like Chad Gable with that. So then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Jarrett was in control of the match, so he ended up taking Harwood down. Jarrett was looking to go for the figure four on Harwood, but Harwood ended up escaping out of that. He ended up taking Jarrett down. Harwood ended up going up to the top, and he delivered a headbutt to Double J. Harwood ended up going for the cover, and Jarrett ended up kicking out. So Jarrett ended up going after Harwood. Harwood ended up faking out Jeff Jarrett. He ended up hitting a pile driver to Jarrett. Harwood ended up going for the cover, and Double J ended up kicking out. So Jarrett looked like he had enough of this by Harwood, and he left the ring. He ended up going up the ramp, but he was then intercepted by Harwood. Harwood ended up bringing Jarrett back to ringside. He ended up hitting Jarrett against the barricade with a chop. So Harwood then brought Jarrett back into the ring. Harwood ended up going off the top rope, but he ended up getting caught by Jarrett. So Jarrett was looking to go for a leg lock, but instead he ended up sending Harwood flying with a monkey flip, and Jarrett ended up going for the cover, to which Harwood kicked out. Harwood ended up countering another figure four attempt from Jarrett with a small package, and Jarrett ended up kicking out. So Jarrett started continuing his attack on Harwood, and he ended up getting sent down with a lariat that was delivered by Harwood. Jarrett ended up catching Harwood off guard as Sanjay Dutt slided out to hold Dax Harwood's feet down. So, because Jarrett was going for the cover, Sanjay Dutt ended up holding Harwood's feet down so he wouldn't kick out, leading to Jeff Jarrett possibly getting the win, but Harwood ended up kicking out. So then Harwood ended up chasing Sanjay Dutt around the ring. Harwood got back to the ring and ran right into the stroke delivered by Jeff Jarrett. So Jeff Jarrett delivered the stroke, ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Jeff Jarrett ended up winning the match. This match was boring, in my opinion. Jeff Jarrett is getting all this TV time for what reason, and yet Miro, who hasn't been on TV in a long while, is not even featured. Yeah, Miro hasn't even been on TV in a long while, but, well, let's give more TV time to Jeff Jarrett. And then you have Sanjay Dutt coming into the ring, just doing Jeff Jarrett's strut. Yeah. Overall, boring match it was. If you enjoyed the match, that's fine. And then we saw Tony Khan. Tony Khan was backstage, and he made his announcement. He announces that the opening ceremonies for this year's Owen Hart Foundation tournament will be at Double or Nothing. And he also announcing that the tournament will be held in Owen Hart's home country of Canada during the summer. And it will also be held at Forbidden Door. And the finals of the tournament will be held in Owen Hart's hometown of Calgary. There you go. Owen Hart Foundation tournament kicking off at Double or Nothing. The finals will be held in Calgary. So it's a big announcement from Tony Khan. Really glad that the Owen Hart Foundation tournament is coming back. So I'm looking forward to it. Should be a very good tournament. So, yeah, the finals will take place on the Dynamite in Calgary. And then we have Wardlow. Wardlow ended up squashing some local jobber talent. So we saw that. Wardlow ended up winning. You know, he's the new TNT champion. I don't care about anything. Like I said, I don't care about anything surrounding the TNT championship. They're just hot potatoing the TNT championship, going back and forth. It has no prestige if it's going back and forth hot potatoing from either Wardlow or Hobbs, or back to Wardlow. When Samoa Joe had it, went back to Wardlow, and then to Hobbs, and then back to Wardlow. I don't care about anything surrounding the TNT Championship. I really don't. So post-match Arn Anderson got on the mic, and he ended up saying that Wardlow needs to refocus and be more aggressive going forward. But then he got interrupted by Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. Christian Cage and Luchasaurus made their way out. They made their way down the ramp. And they end up going as far as the ring. And they end up both regrouping on the ramp. So pretty much that was basically that. So Christian Cage is possibly going to be Wardlow's next opponent for the TNT Championship. So what is that going to be? We're going to have Christian Cage win the TNT Championship, and then Wardlow's going to get his rematch, and it's going to go back to Wardlow? Is that what we're going to do? Yeah. Good booking for the TNT Championship, TK. That's good booking there. Come on, TK. Make the TNT Championship prestige and not hot potato it. Find one guy who would keep the title on him for as long as possible. That's what you should do, TK. Stop hot potatoing the title and make up your mind on who you want as the TNT champion. But it was a nice promo from Arn Anderson. So maybe, like I said, it could be, Christian Cage possibly being Wardlow's next opponent, or it could be Luchasaurus. So we'll see how that goes. And then we saw Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette was with Sammy Guevara, and MJF ended up coming up to Guevara. So MJF was telling Guevara that it's his big moment. And Guevara ended up telling MJF it's their moment. MJF ended up saying that people are saying that he is a gutless coward, as he asked for his because he couldn't win a four-way. To which Guevara ended up saying that people are saying him taking money to lay down at Double or Nothing is ruining this sport. But MJF and Sammy Guevara end up saying, oh, we don't care. So Guevara then ended up revealing that he has a matching vest for MJF. Because Guevara was wearing his vest, he gave MJF, his very own vest. And MJF ended up getting Guevara his very own scarf. He's like, oh, I got you your very own scarf. Oh, that's what best friends are. And so both MJF and Guevara are smiling at the camera. And pretty much that was basically that. But this whole thing here with Guevara and MJF, where Guevara ended up giving MJF a matching vest, and then MJF ended up giving Guevara his very own scarf, kind of reminded me of their very own Festival of Friendship. Yeah, we all remember the Festival of Friendship between Jericho and Kevin Owens. Can't believe it's been 6 years since that segment, with Owens and Jericho on Monday Night Raw. So that's what it kind of reminded me of, with this here, with Guevara and MJF. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, we saw RJ City. RJ City was standing backstage. He was going to address the tag team match between Kenny Omega, Konosuke Takeshita, and the Butcher and the Blade later on tonight. But RJ City ended up getting attacked by the Blackpool Combat Club, by Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta. And so they end up promising that they will leave scars tonight. So pretty much that was basically that. They end up attacking RJ City. Them making a statement. And then we had Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. This was a Pillars Tournament final match. Darby Allin ended up making his way down to the ring. And then Sammy Guevara ended up coming out. MJF ended up coming out to the ring to keep an eye on Guevara. And he ended up doing commentary for the match, MJF, which he was advertising his very own collectible pickle jars. So he had one of the pickle jars on the commentary table, big advertisement, for that. But this match was determined who faces MJF at Double or Nothing for the AEW World Championship. And this was a pretty good match here. Darby Allin started taunting Guevara to start off the match. Guevara ended up slapping Darby Allin, and so both of them end up going at it. Darby ended up taking Guevara down, and Guevara ended up kicking out. Darby continued his attack on Guevara, and he ended up getting caught with another takedown. So Darby Allin ended up building up some momentum. He ended up taking Guevara down with an arm drag. Guevara ended up hitting one of his own arm drags on Darby Allin. So Guevara was on the offense, and he ended up going for the cover, and Darby Allin ended up kicking out. So Darby ended up catching Allin with a reversal, and Darby Allin ended up catching Guevara with a cloverleaf, which forced Sammy to get to the ropes to break the hold. So Guevara ended up catching Darby Allin with a knee to his back, which he ended up sending him out of the ring. So Guevara ended up sending Darby into the ring post. Guevara was taunting the fans from inside the ring. Darby ended up recovering. Darby ended up catching Guevara on the apron as he was looking to go for a German suplex. Guevara ended up managing to fight out of that. He ended up distracting the ref, and he ended up hitting a low blow to Darby, which sent Darby out to the floor. And so Guevara then ended up hitting a moonsault on Darby Allin, and then Dynamite went to commercial. So then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, we saw Guevara end up rolling to the outside, which gave Darby a chance to go for a dive, and he ended up getting caught by Guevara. Guevara ended up dropping Darby down to the floor. Guevara ended up reaching under the ring, and he grabbed a table to use against Darby. So Darby ended up catching Guevara with a chop, and he ended up sending Guevara up on the table. Darby then slided into the ring, and Darby ended up climbing up top, and he was then intercepted by Ty, which allowed Guevara to catch Darby with a Spanish fly into the ring, which was great. Great spot there. Guevara then ended up sending Darby on the table outside, and he ended up leaping off the top rope and delivered a 630 senton, which sent Darby through the table. So the ref ended up getting to count as Guevara slid back into the ring. Darby ended up narrowly stopping the count, which angered MJF on commentary. So we had Darby ended up building up some offense on Guevara, and Takeshita was distracting the ref. MJF ended up having Darby's skateboard in hand, and he tossed the skateboard to Darby, and he left the apron. Guevara ended up dropping down, and the ref ended up catching Darby with the skateboard, and the ref ended up calling for the bell. And so Sammy Guevara ended up winning the match by disqualification. So Sammy Guevara is advancing to Double or Nothing to face MJF for the AEW World Championship. Which, that was, basically that. So post-match, MJF and Guevara end up being down on Darby Allin. Jungle Boy end up running down to make the save for Darby, and Darby end up shouting at Jungle Boy for not being there sooner, as MJF end up running them down. So Then we saw Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone ended up saying that he had some sort of conversation with Tony Khan over his headset. So Tony Schiavone ended up announcing that Guevara did earn his title match at Double or Nothing, but he may not be the only one. So he ended up saying that next week there will be a tag team match. It's going to be Jungle Boy and Darby Allin teaming up to take on Sammy Guevara and MJF. And he ended up saying that if MJF and his new number one contender can win, the match will remain a singles bout. So it will be MJF versus Sammy Guevara, possibly. But he ended up saying that if Jungle Boy and Darby Allin win the match at Double or Nothing will be a Pillars 4-way match. So there you go. If Jungle Boy and Darby end up winning the match next week, it will be a Pillars 4-way match at Double or Nothing for the AEW World Championship. So MJF was furious about that. So should be a good match next week. So all I know, it's going to be the Pillars 4-way match at Double or Nothing. That's what it's leading up to. You know, it's not going to remain a singles bout. It's going to be a Pillars 4-way match. And then we have Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette was trying to get a word with MJF and Sammy Guevara. MJF ended up saying that Tony Khan has been playing games and says where he goes, the Triple B follows. So Sammy Guevara ended up following MJF to his car, but MJF ended up telling Guevara that the car is full. So he ended up saying that, but the camera was showing us that the car was empty. So MJF ended up leaving Guevara behind, and that was that. MJF just left his friend behind. So that was basically that. And then we had Adam Cole. Adam Cole, baby! Ended up making his way out to the ring. Got a big pop from the crowd. So he got on the mic. He ended up saying that he is clearly angry about not only being jumped by the Jericho Appreciation Society, but making him watch the Outcasts beat up his girlfriend, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. He ended up saying that he was promising to beat up Jericho for what he did. So Adam Cole ended up threatening to come find Jericho. So Jericho's music ended up hitting, and Jericho didn't come out. Jericho showed up on the screen. Jericho ended up saying that he doesn't even want to be near a man like Adam Cole. So Jericho ended up calling Adam Cole a coward for letting his wife get beat up. It's his girlfriend, Jericho. So Jericho ended up saying that he won't do anything tonight, but his guys will. And so that brought out the Jericho Appreciation Society. We had Danny Garcia, Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, Jake Hager. They ended up going after Adam Cole, beating him down. And then Orange Cassidy and Bandido came out. So the Jericho Appreciation Society was still in control. They ended up beating down on Orange Cassidy and Bandido. And then we had the debut, the AEW debut of Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong ended up making his way out. Roderick Strong ended up clearing the ring of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Adam Cole made it to his feet. And we had Adam Cole and Roderick Strong end up staring each other down. And they ended up showing their appreciation. They hugged each other. The Jericho Appreciation Society regrouped on the ramp. And Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole end up staring each other down. And pretty much that was that. But this was good stuff here. You know, seeing Roderick Strong make his AEW debut was just awesome. You know, Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, they were, of course, part of the Undisputed Era when they were both, you know, in NXT. But it was good to see Roderick Strong and Adam Cole together again. But only missing is Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. And then we had the TBS Championship on the line. Jade Cargill defending the title against Taya Valkyrie. And this was a meh match here. If you know you have the TBS Championship on the line and Jade Cargill is defending the title, you already could tell and know that Jade Cargill is winning the match and retaining the title. So Jade Cargill, it was noted that, you know, she's having the longest streak of title defenses in AEW history as the TBS champion. So the match got underway. We had Taya and Cargill circling around the ring. They ended up locking up. Valkyrie ended up escaping Jade's reach. Jade mocked Taya, and Taya ended up slapping Jade. Both women end up trading strikes, and Valkyrie ended up looking for Road to Valhalla on Jade Cargill, but Jade Cargill ended up powering out of that. Cargill ended up laying into Valkyrie with some forearms. She ended up sending Valkyrie to the ropes, but Valkyrie ended up getting the better of Jade Cargill and sent her out of the ring. So Jade ended up trying to trip Valkyrie up, but Valkyrie ended up hitting, you know, splits for the save, and she ended up getting dropped onto the floor by Cargill. So then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Cargill was going for a cover on Taya, but Taya ended up kicking out. Taya ended up rolling out of a leg drop attempt, and Jade ended up dodging a pump kick from Taya, and we had Taya ended up going for the cover on Cargill. Cargill kicked out. Jade was sent to the corner by Taya, but Jade ended up delivering a boot to Taya's face. So Jade ended up catching Taya on the turnbuckle, hitting a superplex on her, and Cargill ended up hitting a big Canadian destroyer on Taya. And so Cargill ended up going for the cover, to which Taya ended up kicking out. Cargill was going for Jaded, but Taya ended up fighting out of it. Taya ended up taking Cargill down with a double stomp, and she ended up going for the cover, to which Cargill kicked out. So Taya was looking to go for the Road to Valhalla, and she remembers that if she hits it, she could be DQ'd for it. She could be disqualified. And that gave Jade a chance to roll Taya up, and there you go. Jade Cargill ended up winning the match, retaining the TBS Championship. But who will beat Jade Cargill? But I know when Chris Statlander comes back, hopefully she could be the one to take down Jade Cargill. And Chris Statlander could be the new TBS champion. But who knows? But overall, your typical Jade Cargill match, you know, for the TBS championship. Obviously, we knew that she was going to retain the title. And then we saw Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Jamie Hayter backstage. They were addressing what went down last week between the Outcasts. They ended up saying that this is far from over, insisting the only thing that will stop them is being sent to the morgue. So pretty much that was basically that. Main event. Konosuke Takeshita and Kenny Omega versus The Butcher and The Blade. And Bryan Danielson was on commentary for the match. And this was a pretty good match here. We had Konosuke Takeshita and Kenny Omega was accompanied by Don Callis. Butcher and the Blade were accompanied by Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. Kip Sabian with that purple hair. So the match started off with the Blade and Takeshita. Blade was laying into Takeshita. Takeshita ended up taking the fight to the Blade. He ended up delivering a drop kick to the Blade. Takeshita then tagged in Omega. And we had Omega staying on top of the Blade. And both Omega and Takeshita were making quick tags to keep the Blade off his game. Takeshita then delivered a moonsault to the Blade. Awesome moonsault from Takeshita. And Takeshita ended up going for the cover. And the Blade ended up kicking out. Takeshita then tagged back in Omega. The Blade started to fight back on Omega. But Omega ended up delivering a Hurricanrana to the Blade to the outside. Omega was looking to go for the dive. But Omega got caught by Kip Sabian on the outside. So Penelope Ford got into the way, and that gave the Butcher a chance to attack Omega. Kip Sabian then started to attack Omega while the ref was distracted. And then Dynamite went to commercial. And then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, we had Takeshita and the Butcher in the ring. So we had the Butcher being taken down with a clothesline from Takeshita. Takeshita followed it up with some offense, leading to a brainbuster to the Butcher. So Takeshita ended up going for the cover. Butcher ended up kicking out. The Blade ended up coming in. The Blade ended up dropping Takeshita down. And we had the Butcher ended up coming in. And he ended up going for the cover on Takeshita, to which Takeshita kicked out. Omega ended up getting involved just as Takeshita ended up hitting a Blue Thunder Bomb to the Butcher. So Takeshita ended up going for the cover. The Blade ended up breaking up the pin. Blade ended up taking a Snapdragon Suplex from Omega. And we had Omega end up hitting a dive onto the outside to the Blade and Kip Sabian. So back in the ring, Takeshita ended up hitting the power drive knee onto the Butcher. So Takeshita ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Takeshita and Omega end up winning the match. So post-match, Takeshita and Omega end up celebrating. And Bryan Danielson ended up getting on the mic. Bryan Danielson ended up saying that he saw one professional wrestler get the pinfall. And one amateur who looks exhausted. He was of course referring to Kenny Omega. So Bryan ended up calling Kenny Omega an amateur. So Bryan ended up saying that he sees a prodigy in Takeshita who could really be something if he trained with the Blackpool Combat Club. So the Blackpool Combat Club, we had Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli. They ended up beating down on Kenny Omega. The Young Bucks end up coming out to make the save. So the Bucks end up coming into the ring to deal with Moxley. So we had Moxley end up getting to the Elite, and the Blackpool Combat Club ended up joining in. They ended up raising Takeshita's hand, and Takeshita didn't want to side with the Blackpool Combat Club. So pretty much Bryan wanted Takeshita to be with them, to be with the Blackpool Combat Club. So Bryan ended up saying that Takeshita needs to think about what he's doing. And when it becomes clear, he won't side with the Blackpool Combat Club. So Bryan ended up saying that he's made his choice. So Moxley had a screwdriver in hand. Moxley took a big jab to Takeshita with the screwdriver. So the Blackpool Combat Club then headed up the ramp to regroup. Omega then checked in on Takeshita. Takeshita had a little bit of blood on the side of his face from the screwdriver shot from Moxley. And pretty much that was basically how Dynamite went off the air. Overall, good tag team match. And I like what they're doing with the Blackpool Combat Club here. So, Brian saying, oh, these wrestlers are amateurs. I'm just waiting for him to say amateur and then, oh, this one is fickle. But that was Dynamite tonight. Overall, mid-show it was, in my opinion. But anyways, that's it for the Dynamite review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up. Comment, subscribe. There will be no SmackDown or AEW Rampage review this Friday. AEW Rampage is going to be on at 5:30 on Friday, not at 10 o'clock. So, but won't be covering both shows on Friday, so. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later.